Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making a shawl, or you could consider it a wrap. And this pattern you will be able to customize, so you'll be able to use whatever hook size that you want, whatever yarn that you have. And to demonstrate, I am going to be using my K hook here. And I'm just going to use this worsted weight yarn. So I'm going to create a little sample here. So it's basically like a recipe to make your own. And as I said before, you can use any yarn, any hook size. I would just suggest, pairing your yarn, your hook with whatever yarn you're using. So in the sample shawl you see in the photos, I used a J hook and I used worsted weight or number 4 yarn, and I use 2 different colors, but you can use one color or other colors that you want. All right, so to start this shawl we are going to chain 5. Okay, so we are going to work row 1. I like to work in the back bump of the chain, but you can work in your chain however you like. So in the second chain from your hook, you're going to work a single crochet. And we're going to continue to single crochet across our chain, so we will have 4 single crochet at the end of row 1. Okay, so there we go. We have row 1 complete. So row 2, we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. And the even rows will be the right side of this project. So our chain 3 will count as a double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in our next stitch. So we're not going to double crochet in here, we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And now we have 2 stitches left. We're going to work 2 double crochet in each of those stitches. So there's the first one, and we're going to go right back in that stitch and work our second double crochet. And then our last stitch, we're going to work 2 double crochet in that one as well. Okay, so at the end of row 2, you're going to have 6 stitches. So let's begin row 3. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. So what we're going to do for row 3 is we are going to work a double crochet decrease or together stitch. So we actually are going to be working in this same stitch here. So you're going to go insert your hook in there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So we've worked our decrease stitch. So our next stitch we're going to work a slip stitch. Our next stitch is double crochet. We're going to slip stitch again. And then in our last stitch, which is that chain 3, we're going to double crochet in that, on top of that chain 3. So we still have 6 stitches for row 3. And row 3 is the wrong side. I mean, both sides look nice, but the even side definitely looks more exciting. So I'm going to consider that the right side of our work. Okay, so let's begin row 4. Row 4 is going to be the start of our repeat. So we're going to chain 3, turn our work. So what we're going to do is we are going to double crochet across until we get to our last 2 stitches, and we're going to work 2 double crochet in each stitch. So we're not going to work in this stitch, we're going to work in the next. So we're going to increase again by 2, so we will have 8 stitches at the end of row 4. Okay, so we have our 2 stitches left. So what you do for because row 4 is going to be a repeat, you're going to work even. So you don't want to work in this first stitch here. You're going to work in the next, and until you have 2 stitches left. So we're going to work 2 double crochet in the second to the last stitch. And 2 double crochet in that last stitch, which is that chain. So sometimes it can be a little tricky. Just grab a loop and work 2 double crochet in there. Okay, so there is row 4. Again, we're going to be repeating that, and we're going to chain 3 and turn our work for row 5. So you probably figured we're going to repeat rows 4 and 5. So row 5, we are going to do that decrease again. So right back in that stitch, work the double crochet decrease or together stitch. I learned it as a decrease. And next stitch is slip stitch. And then the repeat is double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch, and then you do that all the way across, and then you'll have 1 stitch left, which is that chain 3 from the previous row, and you're going to work just a double crochet on top of that chain 3. So that is row 5. So we're going to repeat rows 4 and 5 until we like the width of our shawl. And so we are working on the first half of this shawl. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat. This is row 6 here. I'll repeat row 4 one more time so you can see. So we're just going to double crochet across. So right now we have 8 stitches. We're going to increase by 2, so then we'll have 10. So you work 1 double crochet in each stitch until you have 2 stitches left. And we do indeed have 2 stitches left, so we're going to work 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And 2 double crochet in that last stitch. All right, so you are going to repeat rows 4 and 5 until you like the width of your shawl. So this edge is going to be straight, and then this edge is going to be it's going to start to be like the triangular part where it's going to get wider down here. So the sample one that I did, because what we'll do is you're working until you like the width of your shawl, and then you're going to stop and work even. So the sample shawl that I made, I worked up to 62 stitches. So I kept increasing until I had 62 stitches, and I like the width of that. And that was up to row 56. So I worked 56 rows. It was 62 stitches. So I'm not going to work that many here. I'm going to repeat rows 4 and 5 so you can see it a little bit wider, and then we'll work the second part. The shawl is basically worked in like 3 parts. So this is the first part of the shawl. Then we're going to have the second part, and then we'll have the third part. So I'm going to work this first part of increasing, and then we will work on the second part. Okay, so here is my sample. So you can see this is where we started, and then this is where I ended. So I have 20 stitches. Now, of course, you will want to have more. Now, actually, if you wanted to be more like a scarf, you could, just stitch 20 stitches. But once you like the width of your wrap, then what you're going to do next is you're going to just work even. So again, my sample one that I made, I worked up until I had 62 stitches. So that was 56 rows of working the double crochet. So it was actually 57 rows. and then I worked even. So what we're going to do, so we're going to chain 3 and turn. So we're still working in pattern, we're just working even. So that means 1 stitch in each. So we're not going to increase anymore. So now we are at a double crochet row. So we're just going to double crochet all the way across. And then the next row, you're going to be repeating row 5, the wrong side row. So you're just going to keep working even, repeating rows 4 and 5, except you're no longer increasing until your wrap is halfway, so half the size that you want. So for my sample one that I did, I worked 91 rows. So we are on part 2. So as I said before, this was part 1 of the increase. So part 2 is the even part. You're just working even back and forth. And then part 3, we have to work the other side of the wrap. So that will be the decrease section. So as you can see, I'm just working 1 stitch in each. So I have 20 double crochet here, but my sample one I made 62. You can make more, you can make less, and it will depend on what type of yarn. I mean, you certainly can use finer yarn, thicker yarn for this project, and also what size hook that you chose. And this is a right side row, the double crochet row. So I'm almost to the end of the row here, working double crochet, and we're no longer increasing. So I have 3 stitches left. So there is the next stitch, and then in that last chain 3, just working a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. So again, we just worked even, and now we're going to be repeating row 5. So working that double crochet decrease that we were doing, and the slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch all the way across, and then the last stitch is a double crochet. So I'm going to work a few more rows even, and then I'll show you the third part. Okay, so here you can see I just worked a few rows. So what'll happen is, so here is your shawl, so you have it getting wider and wider here, and then once you decide you like the width of it here, then you just work even, so then it'll just be straight across like that. So now we need to work the other side of our wrap or shawl. So I ended on a row 5 here, and now we're going to start decreasing. So you'll just work even until you think, okay, that's wide enough, or that's long enough. So this is the first half. And so when I made my sample, I kind of just would drape it around my shoulder, thinking, okay, I like, you know, how this is draping, to kind of gauge when I wanted to stop. All right, so let's begin our decrease. So that's going to be a double crochet row. So we're going to chain 3 and turn. So we are going to just double crochet all the way across. So this is part 3 of the wrap until we have 5 stitches left. Okay, I'm getting close to the end, so I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to work 2 more double crochet, and then I have 5 stitches. All right, so let's just make sure. So that chain 3 counts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5 stitches left. So now we're going to work a double crochet decrease stitch or together stitch, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it twice. And then in our very last stitch, which is that chain 3, we just work a double crochet. So I had 20 stitches, so now since I decreased twice, I'm going to have 18. And so our next row, we're going to chain 3 of part 3. We're just repeating row 5, so we're working that double crochet decrease, so again right in that first stitch there, and then in the next, and we work the slip stitch, and we just continue double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, slip stitch until we have 1 stitch left, and we work our double crochet. So for this part, you're going to be repeating the double crochet decrease row and row 5 until we have a certain amount of stitch. I will let you know on the screen. I have to check my notes here. So slip stitch and the last stitch, double crochet. So I'm going to continue repeating the decreased double crochet row of part 3 and row 5 from the beginning from part 1, and I'll let you know how many stitches that you will have, and we'll get ready to finish it up. Okay, so here I have worked part 3. So you're going to continue decreasing until you have 6 stitches left, and you end on a row 5, so the row 5 from part 1. Now we are on part 3. So let's finish this up. We are almost done. So we're going to chain 3, turn our work. So we are going to work 2 decreased stitches. So in that next stitch, next 2 stitches, we'll work our decrease. Decreases are usually worked over 2 stitches, and we're going to do it again. So then we will have 4 stitches. One, 2, 3, and then we work on top of that chain 3, 4, and we have 1 more row. We're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to single crochet across. So we're going to single crochet 4 stitches. So 1, 2, there we go. So we have worked the other side of our wrap here. Alright, so try to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of get a better idea of how it's looking. So what you'll want to do is you'll just cut your yarn and you'll weave in your loose ends. So you can see how we achieved that shawl look. Again, if you wanted to just do 20 stitches, then obviously this straight part would be a lot longer before you do the decrease. So for my sample one that I did, so I ended up working 91 rows before I started my decrease. So I increased up to 62 stitches, and then I continued stitching across until I worked 91 rows, and then I started my decreases and then finished up my wrap. So here is that sample one I was talking about. I still need to weave in the ends, and I use 2 colors, this multicolored and then this contrasting color here. And I believe I worked 8 rows of this, 10 rows of that. And didn't quite work out that way evenly on the end, because here's the end of it here, and then here's the beginning. But because this contrasting color really goes well with this, it's fine. I think it looks nice, and I actually really am happy with how this turned out. I will definitely be wearing this quite a bit this winter, so I'm very happy with how this project, and I just love the texture of this. I think it's such a pretty stitch, but it's very, very simple, and it's one of those nice stitches that you can just kind of watch TV, watch a movie. You don't have to think about too hard to do. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.